The docking bay of Outpost K-47 vibrated with a low, predatory hum as the pack arrived. Their warship eclipsed the station lights, a jagged mass of armored plates and glowing sigils carved into blackened steel. Every being in the bay, mercenaries, traders, station guards, even the automated loaders, felt it. The pressure of apex predators entering shared territory. The pack were legendary across the spiral arms, not merely soldiers, but a culture forged entirely in dominance, ritual combat, and survival. They disembarked in formation, towering figures wrapped in battle armor grown rather than built, each warrior carrying weapons that had tasted 100 worlds. Claws scraped against the metal floor, tails swayed with calculated menace, and glowing eyes scanned for weakness. This was meant to be a show of force. They had come to demand control of the outpost's hyperspace relay, and their presence alone was usually enough to end negotiations before they began. Yet at the far end of the bay, partially hidden behind a cargo stack and an open maintenance panel, stood Eli Mercer, human mechanic, grease on his hands, sleeves rolled up, holding not a weapon but a paper-wrapped bundle. He had been halfway through fixing a faulty grav coupler when the alarms sounded. He didn't run. He didn't hide. He just sighed, wiped his hands on his coveralls, and picked up his lunch. The smell of fresh bread, synthetic turkey, and real mustard drifted faintly through the cold air. When the pack's alpha, Corvath Bloodeye, finally noticed the humans standing alone in their path, confusion rippled through the warriors. The alpha stepped forward, armor plates shifting like living muscle, and growled in a language that made bones vibrate. Eli didn't understand the words, but he understood tone. He raised the sandwich slightly, like an offering, and said calmly, "Look, I don't know what you're mad about, but I just fixed the coolant line you blew out last time you docked here. Also, you gotta eat, right?" Silence followed. Heavy, dangerous silence, as the fiercest warriors in the quadrant stared at a human who smelled like oil, metal, and lunch. Corvath Bloodeye had faced plasma storms, psychic predators, and champions who could tear tanks apart with their bare claws, but nothing in his long life had prepared him for this. The human did not bow. He did not threaten. He did not even tremble. Instead, he took a bite of his sandwich, chewed thoughtfully, and waited. Among the pack, courage was measured by aggression. Fearlessness meant charging forward despite the certainty of pain or death. Yet here was a creature physically fragile by pack standards, unarmored, unarmed, standing within striking distance, acting as if he were merely inconvenienced by the arrival of an invasion force. Corvath sniffed the air, nostrils flaring. The scent was strange, warm, layered, comforting. Food, yes, but not ration paste or blood meat. Something crafted. Ritual food. The alpha's ears twitched as ancient instincts stirred. Food shared without dominance challenge was unheard of among the pack. It was either a trap or madness. Around him, warriors tightened grips on their weapons, waiting for the signal to slaughter this insolent mechanic. Eli swallowed and spoke again, voice steady but tired. He talked about broken relays, about how the outpost barely held together, about how everyone passing through relied on it. Even the pack, whether they liked it or not. He talked like someone explaining a problem to coworkers, not enemies. Then casually, he tore the sandwich in half and extended one piece toward Corvath. "No poison," he said. "Can't afford it. Station budget's terrible." The translator implants in several pack warriors struggled, uncertain how to classify humor without threat. Corvath slowly reached out, claws stopping millimeters from the food. This moment, this absurd, impossible moment, would be remembered by pack historians for generations. He took the sandwich. The texture was alien, soft and yielding, nothing like raw flesh or hardened ration slabs. He bit into it, expecting treachery. Instead, warmth flooded his senses. Fat, salt, acid, subtle sweetness. It was balanced, thoughtful. made by someone who cared whether the eater enjoyed it. Corvath chewed slowly, eyes narrowing not in anger but in concentration. The bay remained frozen, warriors unsure whether to attack or kneel, as their alpha experienced something entirely new: nourishment without conquest. Word spread through the outpost faster than any alarm. The pack had not attacked. They were sitting. Warriors leaned against cargo crates, weapons powered down, but still close, while Eli moved among them like a harried cook at a crowded diner. He had run back to his quarters and returned with a cooler full of sandwiches, peanut butter and jelly, grilled synth cheese, spiced meat with pickled vegetables. He apologized for the lack of variety, explaining that supply ships were late again. The pack listened. Some growled softly, confused by the absence of challenge. Others watched with naked curiosity as Eli described each sandwich, warning about allergens with the seriousness of a battlefield medic. One by one, the fiercest warriors in known space accepted food from a human mechanic who smelled like machine oil and stubbornness. As they ate, tension bled out of the air. Corvath learned that humans fix things instead of simply replacing them. He learned that Eli had stayed on the outpost after others left because someone's got to keep it running. Eli, in turn, learned that the pack valued honor not in words, but in actions, that they had come prepared for war because weakness invited annihilation. He didn't lecture them about peace. He just kept feeding them. The station commander eventually arrived, pale and sweating, ready to negotiate under threat. Corvath waved him away with a flick of his tail. The Alpha spoke then, his voice translated clearly across the bay. He declared that the relay would remain neutral territory, protected by the pack as a matter of honor. Any who attacked it would answer to them. This decision shocked everyone, including his own warriors, but Corvath justified it simply. This place is maintained by one who offers sustenance before steel, he said. Such ground is not taken by force. When the pack finally departed, they did so without bloodshed, leaving behind reinforced shielding, upgraded defenses, and a mark of protection burned into the hull. Eli watched their ship vanish into hyperspace, leaned against a crate, and muttered gas. Lunch worked. For the first time in years, the outpost felt safe. Months later, stories of the human mechanic and his sandwiches spread across trade lanes and war councils alike. Some laughed, dismissing it as myth. Others listened carefully. The pack returned, not as conquerors, but as allies, bringing rare materials, advanced tools, and warriors who stood guard while Eli taught younger pack how to maintain engines instead of destroying them. The outpost transformed into a hub of shared knowledge and uneasy but growing trust. Eli never became a leader or a hero in the traditional sense. He still complained about faulty parts and overdue shipments. He still fixed things with patience and stubborn care. But when threats came, pirates, warlords, things far worse, the pack stood beside the station, fierce and unyielding, because of a bond forged not in battle, but in bread. Corvath often sat with Eli in the quiet hours, sharing food and silence, learning that strength could also mean restraint. The galaxy did not become peaceful overnight. Wars still burned, empires still fell. But in one small corner of space, a different story took root. One where the fiercest warriors arrived ready for slaughter and a human mechanic answered with sandwiches. And somehow, impossibly, that was enough to change everything.